Yo, what is up, guys? James Carter TV live here from Vanderbilt University, and we are continuing my 32 teams in 32 days 2015 NFL season preview videos that I've been making throughout the month of August. Today, we are talking about the Carolina Panthers. This is a team that went 7-8-1 last year and surprisingly won the NFC South because the NFC South last year was, let's face it, absolutely dreadful. And this is a team that's already encountered quite a bit of bad luck in this training camp and preseason period, losing Kelvin Benjamin and losing Frank Alexander. Now, Alexander is not a huge loss, but Kelvin Benjamin definitely is. And they're going to have to rely on the young guys like Devin, Funchess and company in order to pick up the slack, if you will. And to be honest, I don't really like this team. And I didn't like them much last year. I picked them to go 6-10 last year, and I was yelled at by Panthers fans, and I was a game and a half off. And if you want to, yell at me for that, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't like them a lot last year. They proved me right to me, and I don't like them again this year because I don't think they've improved from last year. So with that said, though, let's look at the entire team. Let's look at their strengths, their weaknesses. We'll look at the toughness of their schedule, and I'll give you my official win-loss prediction for the team. So the biggest strength on this team, despite the loss of Frank Alexander, it is their defensive line. Obviously, you have Charles Johnson at the under defensive end position. And in the middle, you have Star Lotulelei and Kawan Short. Kawan Short and Lotulelei being two draft picks they've had in the recent drafts, and they've really shown to be really good defensive linemen for them. And Charles Johnson, yet albeit a veteran, has been a very good defensive end for them. And he's going to have to pick up a little more slack now that Greg Hardy is out the door. Now, the other defensive end position is now a question, as Coney Ealy will be stepping into that starting spot. Drafted out of the University of Missouri a year ago, did not play well in limited time. So maybe with more time he'll play better, but that one question is a spot. But when 3 out of 4 or something on your team is good, that's a good position to have. So that's an obvious strength for this Carolina Panthers team. The next strength, I would say, is their linebacking core. 2 out of the 3, because they run a 4-3, they only have 3 starting linebackers. But you have a pretty good backup too. So starting, you have Luke Kuechly in the middle, obviously, if not the best inside linebacker, one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL today. You have Thomas Davis as an outside linebacker. You have Shaq Thompson as a rookie. How much will he contribute? We don't know, but he's looking good so far. So you're looking at 3 good linebackers, or presumptively, if Shaq Thompson can play well at that position right there. The next strength on this team, it's not very strong, but I'll say they're secondary. Now, there are some questions here. If Charles Tillman will be able to play, or if his career is just done at this point. They have Bené Benwikere as their slot corner and Josh Norman as their left corner. Josh Norman played pretty well last year and even got to a fight with Cam Newton in training camp because Josh Norman can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But overall, I do like the corners. Trey Boston at safety is all right. Roman Harper can be improved at strong safety, but overall, pretty good position and a pretty good defense for the Carolina Panthers. And to me, they're saving grace because if it wasn't for this defense, I'd pick them to be a lot worse than I already am. Now let's get into the offense, and let's talk about their weaknesses. Now, the biggest one, and the one I have a huge problem, is their offensive line. It's a bad offensive line, and really because one part is bad. Not only bad, it's horrible, it's atrocious, it's the worst in the league, and that is their left tackle position as they are starting the blind side. Michael Orr, who has been nothing even close to what we've expected him to be after he was so storied coming into the NFL. He's a horrible left tackle to have. And I don't know why Panthers fans are happy that they got this guy instead of keeping Byron Bell. Honestly, you were better off keeping Byron Bell. Michael Orr as a left tackle is a horrible decision, and he won't start the rest of the season. There's no way. I mean, I'll be surprised if Cam Newton is able to survive as this guy is just left tackle. There's no way. Now, you do have Ryan Khalil, your center position. All right, and that's obviously your best offensive lineman by far. But everyone else, they're all right. Your guards are Turner and Norwell. I mean, they're all right. And then you have Remmers at the right tackle position. You also drafted Darrell Williams out of Oklahoma. But when your blind side is that bad, dude, you have an issue. And they really need to find a left tackle. I can't believe that all the years they've been playing under this Cam Newton and Ron Rivera era, they haven't found a left tackle. Next weakness is their wide receiving core, especially after the loss of Kelvin Benjamin. Now you're talking about Devin Funchess having to step up to the plate, and he certainly could, but he was a second-round draft pick, could have been easily a third-round draft pick. Didn't really produce much in the University of Michigan. I don't think he had a 1,000-yard season last year. So asking him to step up to the NFL and produce more in the NFL than he did at University of Michigan in his final year is asking quite a lot from him. And your other wide receivers, Jericho Cotchery, who should not be playing more than 20% of the snaps for any team in the NFL, but he's going to be playing 80% for you guys. And Philly Brown, I'm not trusting anyone named Philly. Okay, you have Ted Ginn as well. More of a third in the return game than the passing game. So big issues here. And Stephen Hill, who got injured. Jared Boykin, who really shouldn't be on an NFL roster. So, I mean, you're looking at a poor wide receiver core. Now, it is saved by Greg Olsen at the tight end position. He'll continue to be Cam Newton's go-to weapon if he can stay healthy, because when he's going to be catching all these balls, who knows if he can stay healthy. I don't like the running backs as much as a lot of people do. A lot of people love Jonathan Stewart and Jordan Todman. I mean, I don't care for these guys. I think Jonathan Stewart has had plenty of seasons and plenty of opportunities to really make you say, wow. And he'll have some nice runs every now and then, but he's not a very good running back to have. Jordan Todman barely showed anything last year. You drafted Cameron Artis-Payne out of Auburn. He's not going to produce much his rookie season. You have fullback Mike Tolbert. Okay, one of the better fullbacks in the league, but he's freaking Mike Tolbert. And you have quarterback Cam Newton, who is good, yes, but still hasn't reached the potential that he deserves, and he's not going to reach it this year. Not with this offensive line and not without Calvin Benjamin. So we're talking about a lot of losses on offense, a loss on defense in Greg Jennings, the injuries they've had this season. How is this a team that's going to improve? I mean, yes, you got Charles Peanut Tillman, but besides that, that's it. Yes, you have some nice draft picks. Everyone has draft picks. Each and every team in the NFL will tell you about their great draft picks, and they'll convince you that will make them a better team than they were the year before, but not everyone can get better. Now, before I give you my win-loss prediction, let's look at the toughness of their schedule. Now, this is what's going to stop the Panthers from being like the bottom of the barrel, because it's a pretty easy schedule. They are facing the AFC South, the worst division in football. Now, with that said, they do have to go to Jacksonville and to Tennessee. Those may not be easy as they appear, because Jacksonville plays a very similar style as you. Although I think you would beat them, they could be problematic in Jacksonville week 1. They could surprise you, and Tennessee could surprise you too if Marcus Mariota can be the rookie I'm seeing him be in the preseason. So, and then you also host Houston and host Indianapolis. So even though you face the AFC South, you don't have it in a favorable way where you host the bad teams and you go to the tougher teams. That's the way you would like it, because that gives you a higher probability of going 4-0. This way, it's going to be difficult to go 4-0. You also are in the NFC South. I think the New Orleans Saints are improving. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think the Atlanta Falcons will improve under the Dan Quinn era. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still going to be a walking mat under this first year under Jameis Winston, so that's not a big problem. But you might have some issues in this division. And even when you were really good, you had that 12-4 season, you still had issues. So, with that said, you also face the NFC North champion Green Bay Packers. And you also face the Seattle Seahawks. Those are tough games. Those are tough games. And good luck winning them. And you also have faced the NFC East, including trips to the New York Giants and to the Dallas Cowboys. You may win in New York, but Dallas will be really, really tough. You also host Philadelphia, and you host Washington. Okay. Those are games you could win. Now, my win-loss prediction, best case scenario, they went 7-8-1 last year, and I don't see improvement on their roster. I don't see it. Best case scenario, 8-8. I mean, they went 7-8-1. I mean, maybe they could have won that one. So, best case scenario is 8-8. Worst case, and this is a possibility. I usually don't talk about injuries when it comes to worst case scenario, but it's a very distinct possibility that Cam Newton gets injured. Yes, he's 6'6", 250, and yes, he's built like a truck. But when you're behind Michael Orr as your blind side, you're in trouble. So it wouldn't surprise me if Cam Newton gets injured. And even with this defense, you still could go 4-12. I mean, you guys went 7-8-1. And if the NFC South wasn't as bad as it was last year, you would have been even worse. If the Bucs had a heartbeat, if the Saints would have woken up, if the Falcons would have had a damn defense, you guys could have been one of the worst teams in the league. So even when you guys were in the worst division of the league, you guys still had issues, and you guys barely, actually you didn't even make 500. And without Greg Hardy and without Kelvin Benjamin, I don't see how this team could go back to even the record they had last year. But I'm sure you guys are going to disagree, and feel free to tell me your disagreements in the comments, and we'll have a fun and healthy discussion together. Until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.